Have you ever seen a girl in a public area and been so fascinated by her that you kept watching her each time she showed up? This is the case of Izumi, a young boy working in a cafe who is starting to get curious about one of the female customers who shows up quite often. The girl is a quiet one, rarely speaking to anyone but to make her payments for the system. As she heads to the counter today, Izumi asks her how long she is going to be using the service. To this, she responds, 90 minutes. And with a smile, Izumi hands her a pass and encourages her to make herself at home. She leaves, and he decides to do a little bit of cleaning. Cafes are usually messy places, and this one is no different. Izumi is bummed at the amount of dirt and trash the customers are leaving behind, but he is at the same time determined to clean the place completely. As he cleans up one stall, he realizes that the stall he is cleaning is directly beside the stall the girl is using. He turns to see what she is doing, and he is greeted with a very unusual sight. The girl has a blush of pleasure on her face, her hands toying with herself at different spots while the screen blasts away before her. Izumi is shocked that she is doing it again, implying that he has seen her doing this before, but he quickly muffles his surprise when another worker passes by him. A few minutes later, the girl emerges from the stall with a satisfied smile on her face. She thanks him, then exits the cafe, leaving Izumi even more curious about her. Of course, it doesn't take long before she is back again. Today, she is wearing a jacket over her small frame with a cute blouse and skirt underneath. Izumi is satisfied to see her as she walks in the door, but as she turns to keep her umbrella on the rack, he notices that she has a wardrobe malfunction. Anxious, he realizes that her bag is inadvertently holding her skirt up. He wonders if she actually walked the whole way here like that. As she books her usual spot, she slinks off to look at the shelves, oblivious to her faux pas. She stops to read at the very front shelves, and Izumi is suddenly concerned that someone may be passing soon and would see her. He immediately calls out to her, and she looks back at him confused. He wonders what to say but doesn't want to be too direct, lest he creeps her out. He decides to point out her bag, rationalizing that once she adjusts the bag, the skirt will fall. He tells her that her bag is open, and she looks over her back. In the process, the bag drops, and the skirt falls without her knowledge. With a smile, she explains to him that the magnet of the bag could be better. However, she continues to stare at him. Walking towards him, she giggles and whispers to him when she gets close that his apron is inside out. The embarrassed lad thanks her for her help. A few days later, the girl is around again, wandering through the shelves. Izumi wonders what she is looking for, and as he does, a picture of what the girl was doing in the stall that day flashes back into his mind. He pushes it back out and decides to go and talk to her. He gets to her face and asks her if she is looking for anything in particular. With a sad look on her face, she admits that she cannot remember the name of the manga that she is looking for. He then asks her what kind of manga it is, and she responds that it is a shonen, then goes on to describe what the story is about. The boy begins to rifle through his memories to try and pick out which manga she is talking about. To help him with his thoughts, she hands him a piece of paper that has a small sketch of the main character on it. When Izumi sees it, the first thing he thinks of is that her writing and drawing are cute. He begins to ask more questions. He asks her if she remembers anything else and if it got an anime adaptation, but she responds that she only watched the 5th episode because her friends recommended it. Because she didn't complete it, she was curious about the continuation and wanted to read the original. Izumi blitzes through his memories, and as he stands, thinking, she notices a keychain dangling from his apron with a figurine of a small cat on it. Happily, she takes it in her hands and yells that this cat figurine is a character from the manga. With a glow in her eyes, she asks him if he likes manga too, but she then realizes that she is being too forward. She moves back and apologizes, and he points out the way to the manga for her. As they both walk away, they think to themselves about how they'd have preferred to talk about the manga. It's another day, and this time, it's a quiet afternoon in the cafe, with light shining in and Izumi gently cleaning up the place. Soft music flows over the cafe from a wired music box, and soft moans come from the girl's stall. Yes, she is back again and has been here since 9 in the morning. Izumi watches her, wondering what she has been doing since that time, but he soon realizes that he is invading her privacy, and he decides to leave so that he would not seem like a creep. However, he reaches the stall just directly beside hers and realizes that it is dirty again, and he has to clean it. As he opens the stall, he inadvertently slams the door on the opposite stall, and suddenly, all the noise coming from her stall stops. She emerges from the stall and they stare at each other, but she has a guilty look on her face as she wipes her fingers. He wonders if she is DJing again, but the thought makes him feel awkward, so he turns away from her and shuts his eyes. He continues to clean the stall, but then the broom he had tested on the door earlier falls on the girl's lap. Uncharacteristically, she moans loudly. Surprised and alarmed, Izumi yells that he is sorry for startling her, but she covers her face with her hands in embarrassment. She then hands him the broom, and as he collects it, he thanks her. Their hands touch briefly, and he notices that her hands are damp. His eyes open, and he manages to catch a glimpse of a game console on the table, just as she explains that her legs are still numb from being so immersed in the game. She suddenly asks him if she got her sweat all over the broom handle and then apologizes profusely to him. Shell-shocked, Izumi remains quiet for a while and begins to stammer. Clearly, he has misjudged what she was doing, and he immediately bows down and apologizes again to her. The girl has started showing her face even more often than before, so much so that she now arranges the stall like her personal study. Today, she is eating from a bag of chips while reading a book, taking advantage of the fact that on weekdays, one person can use a two-person room. As Izumi watches her, he wonders if she is like that at home. Today, she came to meet him with a complaint. Apparently, the computer is frozen and would not move, so she asks him if he wouldn't mind taking a look at it. He follows her to the stall and kind of waits outside while she points it out to him, unsure of whether he is allowed to go in or not. He waits for a while, deliberating within, but when he notices that she is waiting for him, he walks in, thinking that he probably is the only person conscious of it. As he walks in, the first thing he notices is her scent, a girl's scent, a nice scent. He likes it. Somewhere along the line, she begins to move closer to him sideways, and their shoulders bump as he tells her what to do. Though he keeps an outwardly stoic facade, he wonders if she isn't way too close. They stay like that for a while, and Izumi is hyper-aware of the fact that their shoulders are touching. Soon enough, the girl looks up at him as he continues to look at the computer. Her soft eyes dance in their sockets, and though he is well aware of the fact that she is looking at him, he continues to look straight at the screen. Suddenly, she calls softly out to him, and he then looks sideways at her. She leans in closer and closer, and then passes by him to point out the poster on the wall behind him. It's a picture of a food menu, and she is asking if she can order that after they are done fixing the computer. Izumi slumps to the wall in relief. The next day, Izumi is busy arranging the storage room and getting rid of all the unwanted posters. Carrying a lot of heavy things, he walks across the cafe, not really having full vision of the space before him, but walking gracefully nonetheless. Meanwhile, the regular customer is around again in her stall, and this time, she is enjoying a nice personal pedicure with nail polish on her feet. But things are going to become dicey soon. To fix her feet, the girl had taken off her leggings and inadvertently placed them too close to the door. Because Izumi cannot see where exactly he is going, the things he is carrying pull her leggings out of the stall, and the girl only just notices it as it is happening. She tries to quietly pull it back before anything happens, but he ends up pulling it away. After a short deliberation, she yells after him, and when he stops, she quietly tells him that her tights got caught on the thing he is carrying. He apologizes to her as she takes the tights off the load. As he walks away, he wonders what exactly she was doing that her tights are not on at all. The girl comes again the next day and is surprised to see that there is a new plan list for staying at the cafe. Shocked, she raises her arms and asks for an attendant, and Izumi shows up. He apologizes for keeping her waiting, and when he notices it is her, he greets her warmly. She stammers before saying anything, and Izumi wonders why she is so cute. Suddenly, she asks for 10 stamp cards. Though he thinks it is a little too much, he gently informs her that it is limited to one customer, all the while silently happy that she is going for the stamp card offer. He hands her a card and gives her the form to fill out. Watching as she fills out the form, he realizes that he doesn't even know her name. Looking closely, he sees that her name is Yano Honami, and he unconsciously voices the name out loud. He doesn't realize this until she looks up at him, and he becomes alarmed, wondering what she would say. In response, she stammers for a while and then calls his name Izumi-san. A blush creeps up to his cheek, but he quickly turns away before she notices it. He tells her to enjoy her stay while she looks confused at the way he is acting. The next day, Yano decides to enjoy the massage chair instead of her usual stall. With a drink beside her, she sinks in comically. Her head doesn't even reach the shoulder massage, and Izumi notes this with a grin. Suddenly, as he cleans, he begins to notice sounds coming from her on the chair. He stops in his tracks but doesn't look back. He wonders if he is hallucinating, but that doesn't seem to be the case. He should know that she is not doing anything inappropriate, but he cannot help himself from thinking that she might be. Yano continues to moan, but as she enjoys the chair, she realizes that it may be a little bit too stimulating. Bringing out the remote control, she hits the stop button, but the chair continues to vibrate. She continues to pant as Izumi minds his business, and she then calls him for help. When he comes, she whispers that the controller seems to be broken, and she asks what she can do to extricate herself from the chair and stop it. Izumi walks over and collects the remote control, looking over it and noticing that the stop button has been broken. He apologizes for the inconvenience and goes to unplug the chair from the socket. He then goes over to find out if she is hurt or in pain. To this, she shakes her head no. She thanks him for saving her and admits that if that went on any longer, she would have been in trouble in many ways. She also admits that she is getting addicted to it, and Izumi assures her that it will be down for maintenance for a little while.